wanna be the very best.
Like no one ever was.
To catch them is my real test.
To train them is my cause.
Pokemon!
Gotta catch 'em all.
Pokemon! Okay, we're not going to do the whole song because the last time we tried that, uh, it didn't work out so well. Even though, you know what, I think that's going to be one
We
of
also
our.
skipped a whole section of the lyrics, just to let you know.
I think what we'll do is we'll do a flashback episode of the last time we tried that with the theme song to Gravity Falls. Anyway, it
That
is
would be messed up.
Monday, July 11th, 2016. Pokemon fucking Go has been out since Thursday. It's been like 5 days now, and the world has gone batshit insane. I mean, like we talked about it on Friday, Nick, and it's only picked up Steam. It is as many of you know, it is a free to play game. Free to play. You download it for free. You can play it for free. You never have to buy anything to go with it. But yet, they have this
Except
little,
for the data usage. The data usage that's going to kill so many
yeah,
people.
yeah, the data usage will kill a lot of people's phone bills. But it has managed to net Nintendo $9 billion since Friday. 9 billion since Friday because they had these little wrist watch looking things that you can play the game on, and yeah, like holy shit, this is now the most downloaded phone app in history, and it is currently beating out Tinder and Grinder, Twitter, and everything else that people install on their phone. Like it has blown that shit out of the water. It's insane.
And my only question is, why did it take them so long to develop this? This this was an obvious, just amazing opportunity, and I'm just glad that they finally did it.
It
Finally.
is. It's a fucking fantastic opportunity. I mean, not only is it making Nintendo more money than God, not as if they didn't have it to begin with. It's getting people out of the house. I mean, the
This would
game
be
is.
like the only thing that could possibly even sort of compare to this would be if they were able to make World of Warcraft into a phone app somehow with real life people. That is the
Oh
only
shit.
thing that I can think. Or maybe Hearthstone. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of that could possibly even begin to compete with this.
I don't see. I don't even think it would. I mean, okay, look. Okay, before we go any further with this, like we do have actual topics. Like I know we're excited to talk about Pokemon Go, and that's going to be the theme for the show today. But I want to talk about our special guest. She's not here. I'm sorry. I know we promised that Capuletta from Capuletta Gaming was going to be here. She cannot make it. I'm sorry, so I want to apologize for her. We will have her on soon-ish, hashtag Blizzard copyright trademark thing. Uh, so she's not here again. I'm sorry. We wanted to have her on because she lives in Texas, like a few hours away from me, and I don't think this woman ever sleeps. She does her normal gaming stream and everything, and she works, and she's also out consistently at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning hunting goddamn Pokemon. So I was really excited we were going to have her on the show to talk about Pokemon Go, but she's not here, and I'm sorry.
See, my theory is that because she's from Texas, she's in mourning currently because of Tim Duncan's retirement. That's
God
my
damn it! No
theory.
one cares about your sports ball games, Nick.
No, you know what? If there's one athlete that nerds everywhere should care about, it's probably Tim Duncan. Did you play Dungeons and Dragons? He played paintball. He was in a Punisher comic book. He was actually in a Punisher comic book and set up a car restoration store because he loved the Punisher comic so much and wanted to work on the Punisher car. That that's how cool of a nerd he was.
I'm sorry, I fell
So,
asleep. You're talking about sports ball. And I just dozed off there. Hit it again.
and anyway, so from everyone in Texas, everyone in San Antonio, everyone in the Virgin Islands, all the Spurs fans around the world, and all the nerds that actually like sports, goodbye, Tim Duncan. I salute you, and I hope you enjoy your retirement.
All the boys and all the girls, all the people around the world are dancing in the street.
Yes, let us all dance and celebrate Tim Duncan while we catch Pokemon. That is my idealized world. That is literally the definition of my idealized world.
Speaking of the world right now, what the fuck is going on? There is an Independence Day movie in theaters. There is a Clinton running for the White House. Everyone is playing Pokemon on their mobile devices. What year is this? Not to mention riots in the streets against police departments. It's like it's the early to mid 1990s all over again.
I mean, would that be such a bad thing, honestly, to go back to the 90s? I'm not sure that I would necessarily mind that.
The 90s fucking sucked. What are you talking about? I lived through them.
No, no,
I
no,
lived
no.
through the 90s. The
I
90s,
lived through
the
the 90s
90s,
as
shut
well.
up, shut up.
The
The
90s were
90s is
vastly
when,
superior to everything after 2000.
possibly, but the 90s are when George Lucas decided to touch up Star Wars. The 90s is when we got the um, the first prequel to Star Wars. Are
But
are
it also gave us the Clone Wars cartoon series.
no, that was actually in the 2000s.
It doesn't matter. It happened because of what happened in the 90s.
I think possibly the only good thing to have come out of the 90s, other than maybe Pokemon, is probably Deep Space Nine. Well, maybe
But
Voyager.
what?
I don't
Wait,
know. I
wait,
mean,
wait,
like
wait,
honestly, that was
wait,
a
wait.
good time for TV shows.
What
Like there were
about
some good
Voyager?
TV shows.
What about Voyager?
I said Voyager. There seriously
No, you
were
said
some
Deep
good TV
Space
shows on.
Nine. You said Deep Space Nine. But not only did we have Voyager, we had all the awesome cartoons that came out from the 90s as well. There were some really, really great cartoons. Hey
There
Arnold,
were, but
Dexter's
I mean,
Lab, Powerpuff Girls. Um, the list goes on and on.
it does. But what I'm getting at is, apparently, we live in a world where all this shit's happening again, and I genuinely think that if someone ever told me that this was the end of days, I would believe them.
I mean, maybe the
Oh,
people
wait,
that were
hang on a minute,
predicting
hang on
the
a minute,
end of
hang on a minute.
days.
We also have a Ghostbusters film coming out soon. So, like, it's a weird combination of the 80s and 90s. I mean, it's strange. It's really strange. Like there's a Star Trek movie next week, Ghostbusters this week, and then holy shit, the week after that is going to be Suicide Squad. Oh my god. By the way, Comic-Con is like no, like yeah, 10 days away now. What is happening to the world? All this shit's happening at once, and I don't understand it. I don't understand. Like actually understand this more than I do apparently what happened in Great Britain today because the Brexit is still having a fallout, and it's fucking hilarious.
I mean, maybe what happened or is happening is that the people that were predicting the end of days just got a couple of years off. I mean, what was the last prediction? 2015 or the
There's
12?
one for every year, just about.
Well, okay, maybe, I mean, they are predicting, a couple thousand years in the future. So maybe they were just, I could forgive being 20 years off or so.
I could. Well, see,
Don't you
okay,
think?
look, there is a genuine bonus to all this weirdness going on. Great Britain has a new prime minister. She, again, going back to all the crazy shit going back in the past. There's going to be a female prime minister, and she's a Tory. She's the same party as Margaret Thatcher. What the hell is going on? Like, there is trouble in the Middle East. A female prime minister in Great Britain and a Ghostbusters movie coming out. We have we've gone from the 90s to the 80s. I swear to Jesus, things are going. It's weird. I don't understand what's happening.
What
But yes,
what if we're
apparently
going
today.
back? What if the entire world is going back in time? What if
That
Superman really did just fly up out of somewhere and just spin the world back around?
that's see. Okay, look. Okay, just to cement this, and those of you who are watching at home, you can see a picture of the soon-to-be British PM on your screen. This is Theresa May. Look at this woman and tell me she does not look like Margaret Thatcher. She looks like the Iron Lady, and it's fucking terrifying. Okay, but no, just like in case you didn't hear what happened, um, this morning apparently in local British time, that here it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, I think. I don't know. Anyway, um, the other opponent who is possibly going to be British PM decided to drop out of the race. So this has left Theresa May the only candidate. Like there's no one else going to run, and it's to the point that the current British Prime Minister David Cameron decided to go ahead and leave office 2 months early. He will be out Wednesday, so there's no need to have an election. There's no need to have anything else happen. This is the new British Prime Minister, and she looks like Margaret Thatcher, and it's hilarious because and I was going to save this for later, so this is kind of a minor spoiler for something we're going to talk about earlier when we actually get into Pokemon. Apparently, Westboro Baptist Church is in favor of this woman, and that should be strange to you because soon to be Prime Minister May is a proponent of marriage equality. She is a proponent of feminist rights and everything else. It's the weirdest thing. Also, she voted to stay in the EU, so nothing is changing in Great Britain for the next 2 years, and it's strange.
Well, uh, and this is probably the thing that most people don't really understand or comprehend about Brexit is that it's going to be a very slow, gradual change over the next few years. And it's difficult to really measure how necessarily good or bad the results will be for Britain. The only real indicator of the damage that it's done has so far has really been the fallout of the British pound, which has sunk by historic levels. But that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for Britain, because it does allow foreign investors to put money into Britain that they probably wouldn't have been able to afford before. The real key to Brexit and whether it will be the unmitigated disaster that I sort of expect it to be, or a sort of successful pull away, is the trade negotiations that are going to go on over the next 2 years. Um, and the real key will be Britain's negotiations with the European Union. If they can negotiate a semi-reasonable deal, they actually might be in a better position than they were.
It's going to be interesting, but just keeping the momentum of what's interesting moving. Before like 5 minutes or so before we started the show, uh, I believe it was Funimation released the trailer for the live action Rurouni Kenshin movies. Now, those of you who are in the know, you know that these movies were already out in Japan. They've been out for what, like 3 years now, I think. They're coming to the United States in fucking theaters. You will be able to see the live action Rurouni Kenshin movie in theaters starting in August. Like, around the time Suicide Squad comes out.
And
Now it's
have
it's gonna be
I
limited
actually
release.
saw the first one. I actually saw the first one because they were showing it at Otakon the one year that I went, and I was able to sort of sneak into the theater through the back because no one questions a person in a wheelchair basically, which is cool. So yeah, I sort of got into the theater and it was awesome. It was one of the best live action movies I have ever seen. And it was really, really good. It was great. You should go see this. Everyone needs to go see this. It is a beautiful masterpiece.
Well, see, now you're going to have your chance. Now I do not have the dates beside me, but if you go to our Facebook page, the trailer is posted there. You're welcome. Like it has like physically inside the trailer, it has the dates, but it will be around the same time Suicide Squad coming out. So that will be part one, and then September, like roughly a month later, part two, and then I believe in October will be part three. So you're looking the next 3 months or so limited, little, very limited theater release. So I mean, like if you're anywhere in Texas, you're looking at possibly Dallas or Houston for your options. Maybe Los Angeles, and New York. Like just something like that, just where it's going to be in the middle of a big metro area, most likely to get the biggest audience possible. So go see it if you get a chance. If you don't, I would I would assume, and I'm going to say rightfully so, that this is a herald act from Funimation to say that the movie will be released by them and distributed in the United States soon-ish. I would sincerely hope because I have waited. I have not been able to find this movie online anywhere. I have looked whether it was free or whether I had to pay out the ass for it. For example, like getting a movie on YouTube. Like, let's say I don't know, I want to get um, Dawn of Justice on YouTube because you can watch movies on YouTube now, and it's not YouTube Red, but it would cost about $16 to get the movie. Okay, so I've been trying to find somewhere where I could watch it where it wouldn't cost that much, but I have seen clips of it, and yes, I agree. This is an amazingly like it's incredibly faithful to not only the anime but the manga. And I am a long-standing Rurouni Kenshin fan. I am very excited to see the Batosai on screen, avoiding killing people. I'm excited. So I I'm gonna look and see where I can go see it at, and
And
hopefully get to go watch it in
the,
theater.
the best thing about it is it really keeps the light-hearted spirit of the anime and manga with the serious moments at the same time. I mean, but honestly, it's so good. I encourage everyone sell out the theaters for this movie. I beg people, please, just go travel for this. Take time off work to see this. These are the kinds of movies that we need to be supporting.
Just like everyone should have supported the Warcraft movie because oh my god, it's beautiful. I'm sorry, I I never got to go back see it in the theater a second. I should have. I should have been a better fan and got to see it more than once. But it's like the whole movie is just ingrained in my head, and I want to see it. And speaking of movies that I did not go see in the theater, I have rewatched. Now I haven't mentioned this on the show directly, uh, but I did actually sit down and watch about a week or so ago, I think, something like that. I watched the Gem and the Holograms movie.
I remember that you hated that movie.
I did. I actually did hate the movie, but
Like,
yesterday,
visibly remember how much you hated the movie.
yes,
I actually
yes,
remember it.
I was not like so much live tweeting it, but I was talking about it on Facebook while watching it. But I rewatched it yesterday, okay, because it was on, and I just was like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna rewatch the movie, okay, and I like it. It's actually better the second time that I've watched it because I had a few thoughts about the movie, like some thoughts that
Alright.
made it so much better. Um, the short answer is obviously missing the misfits for 98 to 99% of the movie. But they are in there, and when you see them, it makes it way better. The movie is kind of intended to just be a sequel. Well, I'm sorry, a setup to a sequel. And the problem is we'll probably won't ever get that sequel because of how badly it performed, and it makes me sad. It really does make me sad. Uh, Especially having gone back to watch it, because watching the cartoon, everyone remembers the opening lyrics, talking about gems, glitter, and fashion and fame. If you're a gym girl, whatever. Anyway, but there's always the interruption by the misfits. Like we're the misfits. Our music's better. We're gonna get her. That kind of shit. Like there's always that rivalry in there, and that was what made the show because the Misfits are in damn near every episode of the series. Okay, so going through the entire movie, like literally 98 to 99% of the movie without the Misfits was fucking horrible. Okay, but at the end of the movie, and this is a spoiler. This is a big spoiler here. At the end of the movie, yes, yes, the Misfits are there. Kesha portrays Pizzazz, and my God, I like sat up in my chair watching this shit. Like the first time when I saw the scene, I did like it really caught my attention. The second time, I sat there and I just watched it. I'm like, God damn, this is amazing. I mean, like hair standing up on the back of my neck, terrified. Like just because Juliette Lewis, who plays a gender swapped version of a character in the show, um, she's like visibly terrified of Pizzazz and Roxy and everyone else in the Misfits. And just like the music in the background and the way Kesha acts and talks and everything as Pizzazz, it's weird. It's like not weird in a bad way. It's like I have a more favorable reaction to this than I did possibly even Transformers. Okay, because I know the movie is now intended to be a vehicle for a sequel. Like it's intended
See,
to do that.
this is one of the reflections of the problems of Hollywood often is that they sometimes they're really bad storytellers, and I think this is a really good example of that. They should not have gone into this as a setup for a sequel for the movie. They should have gone straight into the series, the cartoon, because that's what the fans would have wanted to see. And most people don't really remember them that well. They're not they were very popular, but I would not put them as in the cartoons that we usually remember from that era.
Well, see, okay.
Um,
Look, that's the thing with it. Like having gone back and watched it, I totally understand why it's an origin story type movie. Okay, um, but goddamn, I could do a whole show. Like we could do a whole show about this gym movie. Okay, there's some seriously deep shit in the movie. All right, for starters, in the cartoon, you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and put up our spoiler warning just for the hell of it. In the cartoon, we all know that Jim is literally a goddamn hologram. Okay, there is no real Jim. Her real name is, of course, Jerica Benton. Uh, but Jim in the movie, she's like 18, 17, 18 years old. And by the way, the girls that were picked to play Jim the holograms, beautiful young women. They're talented, like they are beyond fucking talented, and I noticed it more the second time watching it. Okay, the portrayal of the misfit, as I said, is spot on. Like everything about the movie is really good. And watching it the second time, I started to get like more of a nostalgic feeling. Okay, but they hammer this shit in. They hammer it in. When Jim is discovered on YouTube, by the way, she's found on YouTube. Um, and by the way, the movie, if nothing else, is a vehicle to promote artists who are found on YouTube. Okay, there are clips in the movie of fans supposedly fans talking about Jim in the movie, but it's actual real life fans talking about how Jim inspired them to be who they are. To go out and do things. Like it's really a feel good movie, and that's why I think the first time I watched it, I was kind of a little taken aback by it. But the second time I watched it, and I loved it. It's a lot better. But anyway, Jim is essentially a secret identity for Jerica Benton. Okay, like we all know that because we watch the cartoon. But in the movie, like I said, they really make a point of making that what you know about her. Okay, because you see Jerica, she's all shy. She's like that kind of person. But the moment she puts on a pink wig and puts some makeup on her face and gets in a dark room and sings in front of a camera, she cannot be stopped. Okay, like she is a totally separate individual, and they even have her have some difficulty dealing with the secret identity issue because she realizes, oh shit, no one really likes Jerica. They all like Jim. So she has to deal with that, and it's really really well done. And that used to be one of the better parts about the movie when you had the Misfits, okay? Because I'm sorry, in the cartoon, because the Misfits were always real. Like there was always their real names. They may have used a nickname, you know, but they really dyed their hair. They really made their own costumes. They did their own lyrics. They were not, like bubblegum prop princesses or anything like that. They were really trying to make a career as musicians. And so to me, when they say that our songs are better, yes, they actually are. Because what Jim is just a mask. Like it's like she's music for you to listen to and to enjoy and have fun. So it's basically, I don't know how to compare this accurately here. So I'll say Queen versus Britney Spears, with the Misfits being Queen and obviously Jim being Britney Spears. Like it's that bubblegum shit that you're supposed to listen to. It's catchy and it's fun. It's glamour, glitter, fashion, and fame. That's Jim. But the Misfits are real musicians. Like it's seriously good. Goddamn, go watch the movie.
I've never heard a better plea for someone to see this movie before.
I really did hate it. I really did. But it took me watching it the second time to understand why it's done this way. Like it's intended to show you, like you're supposed to see Jim and her be the hero of the movie, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I can get behind that. They're like, oh shit, wait a minute. There's these other people. What's going on here? And it literally sets up the sequel. But we're just not going to get it because it didn't do very well in theaters, and that kind of makes me sad.
And like I said, this is one of the problems that Hollywood has with adapting cartoons, manga, anime, video games to movies is they often have a hard time telling the story properly. Even with the Warcraft movie, as good as it was, and I really did love it, it was a great movie for a Warcraft fan. But if you're not a Warcraft fan, it was really hard to follow. It was really hard to understand, and it's really difficult to toe that fine line between making a movie that everyone can see and making a movie for the fans.
Well, see, okay, that's actually a good way to go back to Pokemon, honestly. Talking about something that's good enough for everyone, especially fans. Um, but before we get into Pokemon, I want to tell all of you uh, the other story about Westboro Baptist Church. You may or may not have seen the picture that we posted to the Facebook page. Um, Apparently, there is a gym at Westboro Baptist Church, and I don't mean like a people gym. I mean a Pokemon gym. And there is a fucking Clefairy there named Love is Love, and the gym leader's name is Pink Nose. Okay, Westboro Baptist Church, being that they are masters of social media, caught on to this because they noticed all these people coming outside their their church taking pictures and shit. And by the way, a lot of the gyms are actually at churches. A lot of them, it turns out, are at churches or at government buildings and stuff like that, or museums. Like here where I live, we have one of each downtown. Like there's one at a church, one at a museum, and the other one is at, I think, like a county appraisal office. I don't know. Anyway, but all the gyms seem to be around places like that. Uh, so it might be a subtle nudge for people to actually go to church, to go to museums, to actually get out in places, get out to places where people are at and interact, which is wonderful if that's what's going on. Um, anyway, that's apparently, well, it seems like that's the idea, and if that is, that's cool. Okay, but anyway, Westboro caught on to this, and they have started their own Twitter campaign, and they have apparently hired Jigglypuff to be their mascot. And so now they're posting images that say Pokemon Go and Sin No More and a bunch of other weird shit. And they're calling Clefairy a sodomite, and that anyone who plays this game is just welcoming sin into their life. So they have chosen the rapist Pokemon to back themselves up, and it's hilarious.
There are so many things that are just amazing here. I I don't know if I can put it into words. It's
You
wow.
can't really, I
Westboro
spent, I don't
Baptist
know, like
Church.
20-30 minutes on their Twitter feed just looking at this shit and reading it, just laughing my ass off. Like, it was to the point that I actually wanted to tweet them and say, look, you realize that Pokemon teaches children evolution. Like just the most basic level. It teaches children about evolution, but it also teaches you a lot of biological concepts like animal husbandry because you have to breed things. Anyway, um, like it's weird to think
I mean,
that about this.
ma- like as evil and hate-filled and horrible as the Westboro Baptist Church is, maybe it's there for us to laugh at. Maybe maybe God put it there to teach us to be better at about ourselves. I don't know. I'm trying to find some good reason for them to exist. And this might be the good reason for them to exist. Maybe.
See, what I want to know is, okay, like I already said, they already have someone who's the gym leader, Pink Nose, level 7, or probably higher by now. Anyway, and they have the Pokemon defending it, Love is Love. So I kind of wonder, because Westboro Baptist is really good at adopting shit as long as it helps to prove their point. Have they started playing Pokemon Go as well? And if so, are they really
That's
going to
what I want to
go
know.
with a Jigglypuff?
I want to know if they're playing Pokemon Go. I, I mean, they
See,
said playing the game is letting sin into your heart, but
see,
are people like in there playing it anyways? I have questions that need answers.
I would think honestly what they should do really is everyone that goes to the church. start playing the game, and because they're a gym, they're obviously, like every gym has got at least one Poke stop somewhere nearby it, right? So they're going to have a Poke stop somewhere nearby. They're in a good position where stuff going to be spawning because people are going to be there catching it. They're a hot spot, so they're going to find shit. So what I think they should do, or maybe they already are, I don't know. Anyway, um, what should be happening here, and I'm actually advocating for this, is that the members of Westboro Baptist Church form their own Pokemon League, and they take over their own gym, and everyone has to come there and challenge them. Like that would be amazing. I think that would be the accurate response here, not getting on Twitter and saying hateful shit, but play the game with people. But then again, it's a game, and they don't play games because shit's real with them or something. I don't know. Jesus will be here yesterday. I guess. I don't know.
I I mean, what team would they be on? That's what I want to know. What team would the Westboro Baptist Church select?
I don't even have any idea. Apparently, everyone is going Team Valor though. So
No, see, I have watched the Facebook memes start, and it's you're either on Team Mystic, who apparently is supposed to be the very nice people, or Team Valor, which is the PvPers of the world. Basically, it has followed the basic red and blue principle, where the red team is full of PvP assholes, and the blue team is full of nice people.
in other words, the red team is Republicans and the blue team is Democrats.
Or the red team is the Horde, and the blue team is the Alliance.
Could be. I don't know. But speaking of spawn points and such, there
Oh, and then
is.
there's a yellow. There's also a yellow team, but no one cares about them. I'm sorry.
It's true. But speaking of the spawn points and Poke Gems and everything like that, apparently a tweet was posted like yesterday, and I can get behind this. It says, "Dear Nintendo, please put super rare Pokemon at polling places this November." I can get behind that. I would go for that. I would go vote just to catch a Mewtwo or something like that.
Yes, or even just like a Dragonite or Dratini or just something. Put something there. You will have the highest voter turnout in the history of the United States. And it's sad that I'm not kidding.
It would be cool. It really would. But see, oh, that causes a problem. There is a actually it's the police department in Adelaide, Australia, has already told people do not come in our building looking for Pokemon. There are people that are now taking to Craigslist and stuff like that to offer rides and snacks and even free Wi-Fi, and they're charging you $30 per person, and they will drive you from Poke Point to gym and to every spawn, which is amazing idea. Like it is sprouting up a whole new
Well,
industry around, like literally around everything else going on in the game.
well,
And
actually, th- there is one very big problem and concern I have with Pokemon Go, and that is the data usage that it takes up. Because, oh my God, how high are phone bills going to be? I really am scared
that's part of
that
why
people
I'm
are
not
going.
walking around as much because it's still early on in the month. Like, for example, if it was the end of the month, like the last 2 or 3 days of the month, I wouldn't give a shit. I just go whatever because it's gonna reset. But early on in the month, I am a little hesitant, and that's why I'm trying to stay around, like within a block of my house as much as possible when I go out hunting. Or, for example, if I go uptown, there's certain businesses up there that have free Wi-Fi, and I can just get on there and go. See, honestly, downtown, like I mentioned, the three gyms. There are like literally down a single street, at least four Poke Points, like four of the damn thing, or stop, whatever they're called. There's four of them on one street, and then the gyms, and it's cool. So I could go up there and spend all day and just get the points, and get more balls and shit like that. But uh, speaking of getting those things, we did promise that we would give everyone a few tips for playing the game. So, Nick, do you want to give a tip first? Or do you want me to?
Um, I mean, I haven't gotten, well, okay, one thing I've heard is that it's better to evolve high level CP Pokemon than just young or low level CP Pokemon. So that's something that I've heard.
Of course, it would be because they'd be more powerful.
Well, no, not just that, but the base stats of the evolved Pokemon are much higher.
Okay, for my tip, like just the first tip I want to give, um, there is, believe it or not, an Easter egg in the game. You can start with the Pikachu. Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! I know. The problem is, if you've been playing the game, you would have to create a whole new account to do this. So I don't know if anybody want to do that. But to get Pikachu, so if you're just starting out playing, to get your Pikachu, what you need to do is log in, let the GPS register where you're at, and then walk away from the initial three Pokemon you get, which is always going to be starters. So you're looking at Charmander and Squirtle and Bulbasaur. Those are always going to be your starters. Okay, they'll spawn. So you walk away from them. You wait for them to spawn again, like right where you're at, because when you stop moving, the game will automatically put them there because you don't have any Pokemon yet. Okay, so it puts them there. So you just run away again. You do this four times total, and then lo and behold, Pikachu spawns, and you just catch him and train him like normal.
Yep. And let's see. I've also learned that if you throw a Pokeball and it misses, you can actually pick it up by just clicking on it, which would save people so many Pokeballs. So many Pokeballs.
It does, but see, like when you start off, you have like 50 of them, so it's fine if you miss, But like after you play for a while, you finally get to where you learn to catch them, really well. But next tip is when you're looking at your map, like where it shows you where you're at when you're looking at the GPS data. There's a little white thing in the corner. The white thing in the corner is your tracking device. Now, I know this is probably known to a lot of people, but there are still people who don't know how to track Pokemon. You will get a little sprite for them, and keep in mind the sprites are always going to be Generation One, so like the original 151 Pokemon. Okay, all the way from Bulbasaur all the way up to Mew and Mewtwo. Okay, so you're going to have a little white bar. It's going to have feet print and a sprite. If it's blacked out, you don't yet have that particular Pokemon. You haven't encountered it yet. Okay, the feet print is the difficult thing, and this is what took everyone I know the longest time. Like there are still people that I know that are playing it right now that are still figuring this shit out. Okay, each footprint represents one, like it's like 100 meters. Okay, so 300 feet or so. Okay, if you see one footprint, it's 100 meters or less. 200 meters. 300 is 300 or more. Okay, so that's going to be how you track Pokemon. Now that goes directly into spawn points for our next tip. Okay, so you'll see the little marker. You follow that, and if you walk around basically in like a circle from where you're at, eventually you'll find them. But occasionally, when looking at your map, you will see these little leaves pop, little leaf things pop up. They just kind of fly up in the air. That is a Pokemon. That is a Pokemon spawning, and you have to go find that some bitch. It could literally be any Pokemon in the game that does it. So even the rarest Pokemons of all can spawn. So if you find them, you know, get to them as quickly as possible, and all you have to do is walk around roughly where it's at because the Pokemon itself is actually kind of moving around in that area. So if you move, you know, through where the leaves are, eventually it'll spawn, and it's pretty cool.
Another thing that I've learned is that I believe at a Pokestop, instead of putting the incense on yourself like normal, you can actually put the incense on the Pokestop. And that way everyone can actually get the benefit of the incense instead of just you.
The instances will usually do that. I think. I mean, it I'm not exactly 100% sure where they do that, but speaking of Pokestops, um, if you find one, you click on it and like you spin a little thing whenever it shows up for you, and you get Pokeballs and incense and coins and shit, and you can also get an egg. Now, the eggs is the major thing here. The eggs will allow you to hatch a Pokemon. It could be any Pokemon in the game, any Pokemon. Okay, so what you do once you get the eggs is they'll have the little feet print on there. Okay, and well, it may not be feet. I'm not sure. I haven't seen one of my own yet. But what it does is there's a thing that tells you the distance, and you literally have to walk. So if it tells you like a kilometer, you're looking at a mile, mile and a half of actual walking. Now you could sit there and walk in a circle, but the game will tell you, you know, supposedly it tells you when you've walked that far. So you just walk, and eventually your Pokemon hatches, and it's a really really good way to get a Pokemon to catch more Pokemon is to find the Pokestops.
Also, one other thing I've heard is that you don't want to try to hatch the smaller eggs, the ones that are like 2,000 feet or something. You actually want to try to hatch the big eggs, since most people don't have that many incubators. So I've heard to always hatch the big eggs first. And to save your evolutions for when you get a lucky egg, because a lucky egg doubles all of the experience you get during that period of time. So if you have a lot of Pokemon that you're close to evolving or waiting to evolve, wait until you actually have a lucky egg and then evolve it.
See, I didn't find that out until after I had already evolved my first Pokemon. And what it was there was a spawn for a Bulbasaur. Now I had a Bulbasaur, okay, but it spawned and it was really close by, and I thought, okay, fuck it, I'll go find him. So I went and I found him like he was maybe 10 feet off the edge of my property is where it spawned, okay. And this particular spot, I have had 3 or 4 show up there, but so I just walk up there and get them whenever they're there. You know, it's fine. But I came back in the yard and I was actually talking to my brother because he was visiting, and I just happened to still have the app running, and it notified me there was a Pidgey there. So I turned around, caught the Pidgey, and I traded it in, and I noticed I had enough candy and shit that I was able to evolve it. So I did my first evolution yesterday, and it's pretty fantastic. I actually wish I had uploaded the screenshot of it. But you get this little extended like little cutscene type thing where your Pokemon, you know, kind of flies around and or is sitting or whatever. And anyway, they jump in the air and they start to glow, and they just like the light overtakes them, and it's pretty badass. It's pretty badass. But while you're out hunting, uh, there are of course older game related tips. You know, like for example, the older Pokemon games, there were specific spots where you could find certain Pokemon. So while you're out hunting, remember that fire types can be found at places like gas stations, especially on sunny days. Water types will be at lakes or other bodies of water, especially while it's raining. Electric types are going to be found near transformers and during thunderstorms. Ghost types will be found at night and in graveyards. Uh, Grass, bug, and normal type Pokemon will typically be found in parks or people's front yards. And normal types will usually be found mostly in urban areas. So just walk around everywhere you can think of and, just see what's there. Uh, and if you catch a Pokemon, say for example, there's like half a dozen Ratatats around here all the time. So what you do is catch every one of them, and uh, what I like to do is get uh, the highest CP one that I can, and I keep that one, and I just trade the rest of them in.
And actually, one of the faint mysteries of Pokemon so far has actually been the height and weight stats of Pokemon. And this is something that I'm still really curious about because I've heard very conflicting things about this. I've heard that Pokemon with higher stats in height and weight actually do more damage and have more health than Pokemon with lesser stats. And I've heard that extra small Pokemon are better at dodging than bigger Pokemon. But I really there hasn't been any good confirmation on this. And I'm really curious to find out more about that.
Speaking of the dodging, during gym fights, if you actually swipe left for right, you'll be able to dodge attacks from the Pokemon that you're fighting against. And as a bonus thing, when you're catching a Pokemon, and this is probably the last fact that I really have, really. I don't know about you, Nick, but I said this is the last one. When you want to catch a Pokemon, um, whatever technique you have to actually get the Pokeball to them is fine. But the easiest way for me is to kind of pan like the camera up a little bit and then, essentially flick the Pokeball above the Pokemon. But the way that you can almost guarantee your catch is other than when they attack you. And by the way, you do have to heal your Pokemon. There are no uh, Pokemon health centers, so yeah, and I don't remember the way to do it, honestly. But
There's an actual item, or you can evolve them.
okay. But what you do is when you're in a fight, if the opposing Pokemon attacks you, it will interrupt your throw. But before you throw, always watch, like as soon as you touch the Pokeball on your screen, watch the little rings around it, and there'll be a green ring that will travel down to the middle of the Pokemon. The smaller it is, the higher the chance that you have of catching it. So if you watch that and you practice, you'll be able to catch one nearly every time the first throw.
Which is pretty cool. Um, hmm, what else is there? I'm trying to think. During battle, you'll notice that your Pokemon has a normal move and a special move. In order to use the special move, for instance, Charmander's Flamethrower or Rattata's Dig, you actually have to hold down um, on the button to actually charge the power level up before it will actually use the attack. So that's how you use special attacks.
Yay, we're helping new Pokemon masters.
Oh, and if you want to throw a curveball, when you throw your Pokeball, you actually have to spin or make a circle motion around the Pokeball until it's sparkling. And when it's sparkling, then you can throw it, and you'll actually get more experience points for that, which is cool.
Hopefully it'll work out for everybody that's wanting to learn to play. So
we would hope.
It'll be cool. Anyway, that's really all that I had for tips. What about you, Nick?
That's all I can really think of off the top of my head. Um, yeah, that's about it.
Well, then I guess that's a good spot to end the show for today.
Sure. I I can't think of anything else to say at the moment. And I other than I want to go play Pokemon Go now.
Well, then go play Pokemon Go. I mean, just literally, what is stopping you?
Um, Nothing. Literally
Exactly,
nothing. Except
exactly.
that I live in the
Nothing
middle
is
of
stopping you.
nowhere. I live in the middle of nowhere.
Well, so
That's a
do I,
problem.
but I'm still catching Pokemon. But see, literally nothing is
No,
stopping you.
no,
But you know, just no, wait. Actually, I have one final tip, the most important one. Don't fucking drive while playing Pokemon Go. Just don't, please. And the
I
seriously,
actually, the stories I've heard, this has actually given me an idea. We need designated Pokemon catchers while people are driving. That's what we need in this world now.
we do, we do. But seriously, if you're gonna play Pokemon Go, pay attention to the little launch screen thing that tells you to keep an eye on your surroundings. Just please do that. Just not for our sake, but do it for yours and your children. They need you to not be dead. But that's gonna be it for today. We will try and get Calculator on soon-ish. I'm also going to call Brandon, Joshua Gundami on YouTube, and get him on sometime soon-ish because we haven't had a guest in a while, and he's always a good guest. Like he's always a much better co-host than you are, Nick. And I would like to have her on the show because I know she's feeling bad about not being able to be on.
You know, why do I show up here? That's my question. Why do I bother to come?
Because we're friends.
And
We're friends.
I'm just, I, you're gonna have to do better from that after that comment. You're gonna. I demand a pay raise, damn it.
Nope, it's because we're friends. Anyway, please remember to like this video, comment on it, share it, subscribe it, like us on Facebook. Tell us if you have any ideas for future shows. It's not as if we're
Tell
running out.
Jonathan to give me a pay raise. Tell
No,
him I deserve a pay raise.
robots don't get pay raises. Anyway, if you have any ideas for shows, not as if we're going to be running out anytime soon, let us know, and we'll talk to all of you Wednesday.
Alright, everyone. Goodbye. See you Wednesday.
Bye, everybody.